Alright, I think I'm in focus. Anyway, today I'm going to be doing something that's probably going to make most of you guys cringe. My carbon fiber roof panel should be on its way from the UK. I ordered it from BMP Conversions very soon. And my cage needs painting. So I figured rather than struggle and try and paint the top of the cage from the inside with the roof in, seeing as I'm going to cut the roof off anyway to bond in the carbon one, I may as well cut the roof off, paint the cage, and then when the roof actually gets here, I can bond it onto the remaining panels left. There's another build of an M3 recreation on an E30 that uses the same roof panel. I'll probably throw a link in the description if you guys want to see like a full install as well, because I'll be doing one, but they do it in an excruciating detail. So there's a couple of different ways to do carbon roofs, but most of the time you'll cast off the original panel and just make it slightly larger and then cut out the majority of the steel and bond it to the remaining skeleton. There's a good channel called Street Bandito that's doing an entire 240Z like this. They'll bond, or they'll cast the carbon part right over the original body, cut out the steel, and then bond it on permanently. So the entire car for that car is about 3 mils thicker or something, but overall, when you do the whole car, you can't notice it. So first step here is basically I'm going to locate the edge of the original skeleton. It's a couple inches in, and then where the original skeleton ends, I'm going to cut out all that steel. I'll leave in the center support, which I think is around here to here. I'll leave that in there just for extra rigidity. They sell, BMP sells a piece, a fiberglass or carbon piece to bond onto the inside, but the support already exists, so I may as well leave the steel one and leave the roof so that I have it in the perfect same plane as the original roof. Because ideally, what I want to do is come in and paint only the edge to about this C-pillar with the body color, but leave that exposed carbon in the top center and have it blended in. So there's not that much more. I'll probably throw a moving blanket over my seat and things, but I'm just gonna cut it out. But this is a carbon roof for the E30. Hand laid with a slight view, so it's two different angles meeting up in the center. It looks crazy, super clean, insanely light. Wasn't ready for how light it was. I also got with it basically the installation kit. So this is all the adhesives and all the other nonsense, the gun that's actually required to apply the panel bond. I requested that they just basically build me a kit for this so I could just be in charge of installing it, and I purchased all of this stuff directly from them. So maybe if you ask them nicely, they'll do it for you, because that's what I did. And it saved me a lot of making errors in what to buy, how much to buy, and everything. I'm sure it saved me money in the long run. There we go. A box of panel bond. Okay, so obviously we're looking at a two-part structural adhesive, Permabond engineering adhesives. Very cool. A whole boatload of nozzles, mixing nozzles, and a gun. So this is everything that you need to install this carbon roof, plus some time and probably a few of your closest friends. So it is currently Monday. I'm going to pop this onto the car for safekeeping, and then probably this coming weekend I will go ahead and have a buddy come over and help me, and we'll bond this thing on here. It'll be very, very, very exciting. As you can see, I popped the roof on there just temporarily, had to remove the rain gutters and things, but there's a whole series on the BMP YouTube page, I'll link it in the description along with the roof itself, of actually how to install one of these. So I'll kind of go over it in an abbreviated version as I normally do, where I try to cover all the technical stuff, but I still make it flow and try to make it entertaining without just talking the whole time. But you're using a structural adhesive that basically requires you to take the roof that you're bonding the steel roof that you're bonding the carbon roof onto to bare steel. So you gotta take all the paint off everywhere, make sure it's clean, make sure it's flat, make sure everything's good, and then you have to prep the inside of the carbon roof. So we're gonna scratch up with some sandpaper where the sections where it'll actually be mating to the roof itself. So I'll go inside, probably mark out the window and then sandpaper outside that window kind of thing. Then you have to make sure that both surfaces are super, 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 super clean. So it's a bunch of acetone and then wiping and acetone and wiping, acetone and wiping until everything comes off clean. Then we can talk about actually bonding it on. So you have your bonding agent, you have your mixing guns, you load everything up like you were caulking or doing some, just whatever panel bond, whatever tube adhesives you're going to be using. I'm sure you guys are familiar with them. And they have a mixing nozzle. Pump the whole thing, mixes in there, and then you basically pour it out onto the surface, build up a layer. I think they're like an 1/8 to 1/4 kind of bulky layer of full coverage over the steel. You don't want to steal any steel where you're bonding. And then we'll load the roof on and start lightly clamping it down, trying to spread that load as evenly as we can so we're not pulling it and warping it and making the whole thing come out wavy. It's the basic overview. There's some technical stuff, and to get the blend I want, where I blend the A to the C pillar with a line of paint right here, I need to actually cut off this ridge that kind of tucks in the rain gutter. And you can imagine that this ridge would originally be used if you were just going to bond the roof on and leave it, because it would look kind of silly if you bonded the roof on and then you had some weird paint showing right here. So what we're going to do is cut this whole ridge off, and then we'll be able to body fill and blend that perfectly, just in the front corners, in the back corner on that C pillar, and along the sides. It'll all get filled in, and then I'll come in and paint a stripe right here of the body color that the car's going to be, and it'll blend flawlessly. That's the idea. All of the roof has been taken back to bare steel where it's going to be bonded, even a little bit over. because you want to make sure that you don't have any parts of paint on this structural adhesive, so that you're not bonding the adhesive to the paint, because the paint is, the strength comes from the bond of surface to surface. So if you bond the paint to your carbon fiber roof, then your paint to the roof bond is really good, but your paint to the actual steel is not as strong. So you want to get this bare steel, and we're going to be permanently bonding the roof steel, the permanent structure, to the carbon roof, the new permanent structure. So all of this had to be, I took one of these wheels, these little paint removing wheels, did the whole roof a couple times, took 2 or 3 goes at it, and then I went and hand sanded the whole thing just to pick up any little remnants that had gotten embedded. This is also important, I want to show you guys. So there's 2 ways to do the center support. One way is you can purchase a new like carbon fiber or fiberglass center support that goes across and cut this out. Or I asked BMP if it was possible if I could just leave the original roof section in the center. So I basically made a pano roof right above this structure and then bond to this. And they said yes, but there's a gap. And this gap is just kind of floating, I guess, on the center of the roof. So I had to fill up this gap with some sort of filler section, and I chose an 1/8 inch aluminum flat bar. I took 2, I think they're 1.5 or 2 inch 1/8 inch aluminum by 36 inch long flat bars, and I pushed them in here and they fit pretty darn perfectly. So trimmed them down, got them in there. And what I'll do is, before I go and start doing all the bonding for putting the glue on top, I'm gonna go and push as much glue into this gap as I can. And all that is you're trying to minimize the amount of gap that you're trying to fill with glue. So putting this solid structure in here, I can fill the little gaps up with glue, but the main bulk of it is still gonna be that structure, and then it's all gonna get permanently bonded together with the structural adhesive. This skeleton to the aluminum to the skin, and then all of it kind of together in this big homogeneous glob of bonding agent will get bonded to the roof. That's pretty much the idea. Got ahead and masked off everything so that any of the stuff that oozes out doesn't drift down. Oh, that's actually a good thing. I need to weigh this down. Anything that oozes out doesn't drip and hit my roll cage or interior, interior. So that'll be next. Come in, start filling in all these gaps with the bonding agent, and then we come in and we start laying the agent all across here, piling up a layer, and we pop the roof on. And that's pretty much it. I think it takes about 3 days to fully cure. So we pop the roof on, lightly clamp it down, and then leave it for a couple days.
All right, and the seams first?
I would start the center.
Okay.
Yeah, just fill in these seams.
Which, if you want to do this, I'd be happy to record.
Do you want? Okay. Jars are real useful. Well, not. You want to prep the next 2 or find another spatula scraper? I think there's some where it was.
No, I get it, dude, because I actually, I cleaned
Batch, and they fucking just put all their kids, including a baby, outside and lock all the doors. neighbors going around and all the fucking doors of the house trying to get in. I'm like, should I call cops? Like, it's kind of
Fucking winning, dude. Leave him hard.
But that does look good.
Is that the front?
Yeah.
Okay.
So guide us in. And then we gotta get it even, so Mike, you make the call.
Oh my god. Like left to right even?
Yeah, try to, and then
Shit, dude.
guide us in the front.
Gotta go back a little. You can slide it around. It's not like it's gonna be stuck. You know what I mean?
I need a little more. No, it's okay. Going up?
Humid day.
How you feel about it?
about that. It's fucking sick.
Just do another walk around. This thing is looking crazy good. Look at that gap right there. That is so tight in there. That is just a great fit. You check out under. That looks in there. Super cool. You can see that center section that we filled in and then bonded in. Looking very well secured. Tried to peel up some of the corners while this agent was still wet, just so I could hopefully do less and less body work, but we got a good coverage all the way. Super clean. Definitely want this drip thing, because I mean that would have ended up in my interior and cage, and you will never get that out of there. Look at all that up there. Peek up in there. Added some spreader aluminum plates just to this back, just because I wanted to be extra careful. If I pulled this off and it was warped, I would have been extremely upset and probably never would have gotten it off. So if this roof had turned out warped, it likely would have been a situation where I would have had to go ahead and paint the whole roof and block it out to get it straight. See this corner. So, in 3 days' time, I can pull all this off. So sometime this week, I'll start pulling clamps off and I'll get a good look at the finished product and how we bonded it on. But it's looking super good. A real test of my patience to not rip this thing apart. But it's finally time. Start ripping clamps off. Look at that. Let me see if I can't get that slight weave. See that line in the middle? This side, the carbon goes this way, and that side it goes that way. Very cool. It's super glassy, super smooth. You can see with the lights. No ripples. No nothing. On the inside. A little bit to clean up. Might do some seam sealer just to finish this. But that's where we installed the flat bar. Still see the flat bar right there. Super solid. That's one piece. That roof is not going anywhere. You can hear the difference where that support is. So this is good because this material is super stable over time and it won't sink like body filler. So I'll come in here and kind of feather it up, probably even feather the roof. I'll contact BMP first before I do that, make sure. But feather that in, blend this right in, and then we do a paint line right here, all the way over. That looks so good. I love it. Absolutely love it. Car looks sick with it. That's gonna be so good with some paint on the sides. Loads of clear coat, and look how good that fit right there. That fit up. Granted, I clamped the crap out of it, but that fit up is so good. No gaps anywhere around. No points for water ingress. I don't know exactly how to clean this up, but take all this junk off. Anyway, that looks to be this episode. So this is my roof installed. It looks freaking fantastic. Probably need to go tape it all back up so it doesn't collect dust or get scratched up or anything. But it's gonna be a matter of body working all these to blend this into the rain gutter, priming and blocking this section right here. Then it'll get painted with the rest of the car, mask off the center section for everything but clear coat, so the whole car will get probably a white base, primer, white base, a sealer layer they call it, and then paint. So look forward to that, guys. But keeping it real, keeping it moving, project's coming along nicely. That's all I got for you guys tonight. Super exciting stuff. I'm loving it so far. BMP, check them out. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. But that's it. Peace.
There goes a sight from my soul.